Yes, welcome to the first broadcast for Fly Fish for Fun. Today, during a half an hour, I will tell a little bit about coastal fly fishing in Sweden and a bit in Denmark, especially Bornholm, an island that I traveled to a couple of times during a year to fly fish, especially when it's during the period in Sweden where you're not allowed to fish for sea trout in south of Sweden. I'm going to show you a bit from my homepage because there is quite a lot of information on this page about things that you can look into yourself. And the reason why I started off doing this in English is because, first of all, my homepage is in Swedish, and I have quite a few persons from Germany and abroad that are interested in coastal fly fishing in Sweden. And I'm doing these live broadcasts because they are also recorded, and there is a good possibility to listen into them afterwards and see what kind of information that you would like to get deeper into. And of course, you can always get in contact with me by mail or by using my homepage. And in the end, I will also make my homepage available in English. First of all, if you go into my homepage and actually go in under the headline on Flugfiske, you will find there is a special link here that's called in Swedish Bra fiskeplatser på kusten. And if you click on that one, you will meanwhile be able to see the general information that's quite interesting to actually deepen when it comes to coastal fly fishing in Sweden. If you take a little bit about the sea trout in Sweden, we can say that there are some differences between different areas in Sweden, for example, between south coast and west coast on the size. But mainly what I will be talking about is the south coast, Skåne, which have a fishing period from 1st of January until September. And then from last September until the last of December, you're not allowed to fish specifically for sea trout. And during that period is normally when I go to Bornholm or Denmark, which have much better rules about coastal fishing for sea trout than we actually have in Sweden. The size you're allowed to bring home is a minimum size of 50 centimeters, and you should generally look for fish where that are quite shiny, not in spawn dresses or under a Fulton of one. First of all, they don't taste good, and second, it's much nicer to give them a good chance to enjoy their period in the ocean and be able to eat a lot of different food, so they get in good condition. And once you have catch one of these in good condition and eaten them, then you definitely know the difference between a good sea trout and spawn one. If you look further down here, there is a little map over Skåne and Bornholm and Denmark, and all these hotspots and places to fish are generally the places I've been to. I've been to 99.9 of them, and in some cases I've marked them out because I know they are good areas for coastal fly fishers if you are looking for some good hotspot close to where you live or in the area where you maybe will be staying at a hotel or bed and breakfast or whatever. As you see, I don't have that much in Denmark. That's the main reason for that is that I do my guided tours in Skåne and on Bornholm, and occasionally I go to Møn, which is one of my other favorite places in Denmark to do coastal fly fishing on. But the one thing to think about is actually that Denmark is a wonderful area to go fly fishing, and there are in many ways more interesting areas to go to fish in than you actually have in south of Skåne. I can only compare it to Bornholm in many ways. There is a big difference, and that's a difference that we can talk for quite a few hours about why there is such a difference between Sweden and Denmark, in my view. But if you are interested in going to Denmark, I recommend that you take a local guide, and there are quite a few good local guides in Denmark. And if you like to fish in Islefjorden or Roskilde, there are a lot of good hotspots where you can, yeah, you can find them on the internet. They're not that secret. If you are interested in pike, there are some good areas in Denmark also when it comes to pike fishing, especially down around Vordingborg and Møn, where you can fish for quite big pikes. Pikes are not my main interest in any way, but I get them occasionally on the coast. I catch them occasionally when I fish on the coast. Today I'm going to show you one hotspot just to give you a little bit of a view of what you should be looking for when you come to Sweden, and what could be considered to be good areas, and what you should actually look for when it comes to structure in the coastal water, so you know what to try out. I'm just going to zoom in so we can. As to do it, it's a bit tricky to get into. Sometimes it zooms in too much or too late. This is a typical good area in many ways, just to give you a view what you should actually be looking for when it comes to coastal fly fishing. The reason why I want to show you this is because it gives you a generally good idea about what to look for and what's occasionally the best thing to have around you when it comes to get in contact with sea trout. And as you can see, there is an area of sand here all the way, and just between the beach and the sand there is also a dark area all the way, and the sand here helps to concentrate the sea trout, so it goes closer to the shore. And if you fly fish, some of these bathtubs are quite good to try out instead of just fishing over a totally dark area, because then you won't be get the sea trout channeled in any way close to you. And one of the better areas around this place here is actually down here in Bösta. So when you come to Simmermarken, this is the road to Trelleborg, and this is the road to Ystad, the coastal road. You will see there is a road that goes between two big fields, and you can actually park down here directly by the water. And by the way, the bridge that you can see out in the water here is not still around. And as you get closer, you see that there is quite a lot to see. That's why it's good to use also these Google Maps to look at areas that are interesting for you to fish. And here's the parking area. And this is a quite popular place for many coastal fishers, and you can fly fish or you use ordinary lures if that's of your interest. And the distance between here and out to the edge here of the sand, it's not that far. You're usually able to walk 2/3 of the length out. That means that where I'm now showing my hand or the mouse is actually the area where you can walk. And that means that in ordinary water, you will have water somewhere up above your knees. and you will be able, with a full length of a weight forward line, 27 meters, you will be able to reach and fish over these edges here. And the funny thing is that when you fish this area, it's usually the little bit darker areas around here, all the way where the fish are going back and forth. And for some reasons, they are moving on this inside of the sand or on the outside here. They are not that keen on traveling by day over the light the brighter sand, because then they don't have the protection that they enjoy. So you will find that a lot of them are actually traveling back and forth here. And when you fish here, you can fish in wind from the side, or you can fish in wind from land. Depends also upon how good you are in shooting your line, but you can actually do fish if you have some wind coming in from the southwest, for example. In my case, I enjoy fishing in all kinds of weather. The only thing that I don't fish in is when it's too low water, actually. If you go where and there is a low tide, you will definitely see how the button structure are, and there is not that many fish around. But even in low water, you're not able to walk out on these sandy parts. There is around 180 in depth on the edges here. And I will show you a film in a while where you will actually we will be watching this area where I'm fishing and catches a nice sea trout, and also you will see one bigger spawn one. Just to give you a picture of how it is to fish in this kind of area and how it looks. Little bit about Swedish rules. You don't need a fishing license in Sweden, but you must be able to keep track of where rivers and protected areas are. And respect them. So you are supposed to find the information yourself. And if you, for any reason, are a bit uncertain about it, you usually can find someone around where you're fishing if you go to these hotspots or online and ask. And if you can't find the information you're looking for, you're welcome to ask me, actually. I can always send you an email and tell you do's and don'ts in different areas. And a lot of these places here, I can tell you if they are good enough or not good enough for the winter weather or the season when you're there. That was a little bit about the hotspots. If you are looking for your own hotspots, in my point of view, this is the kind of sea bottom you should be looking for. I love sand. The reason why I think sand is a key issue when it comes to nice sea trout is because mainly the really good ones are caught close and or urgent to sand, or what we call leopard bottom. As you can see here, this is a typical area where you, in some cases, actually can walk and fish, sight fishing. And that's not that common in Sweden nowadays to be able to sight fish, but yeah, under the right circumstances and the right areas, you can actually go, take a few steps, look 15 to 25 meters in front of you, and see the sea trout when they are moving around. In the area, some areas where I fish, I go along an edge between the sand and the darker sea bottom, and in some cases you can actually see them running away from you and go swim out to the edge, and they're probably standing there to see where you are going, and if you scare them once more you won't be able to catch them. But when you see this flash, this silvery flash moving over the bottom in front of you 15 to 25 minutes, then it's time to start to fish. And it's quite nice to be able to put out the line and know that any second now you will catch them. I hope to be able to film that one day. I need a light filter to my camera, so you can actually see reflection, because you can see it from your fishing glasses, but you're not able to see it on an ordinary camera actually. If you take a look at other good areas, these are typical different areas in Sweden, just to give you the impression of how it looks and where to fish. And many times you will find the fish are hiding out in these dark areas along the edges. And in some cases, you actually, dependable on where the wind comes from, you are able to walk out on these sandy areas and fish over these dark areas. And dependable upon how much wind and all that, it could be more or less difficult. But generally, you don't have to go out and do any so-called hardcore fly fishing. You don't have to go out in 7 to 10, 11 meters per second. Many times it's quite enough. It's between 3 and 5 meters per second. And if you have the wind from coming onto the shore, as in this case, you can always walk out and fish inwards instead over these areas. Or if it's where wind blowing away from the land, the coast, you can walk and fish over these areas here. So it's quite interesting to fish these stretches. And I love to walk and fish. I like to take 2 steps, throw my line, take it in, and then take a few steps more. So I move around a lot. It's not uncommon for my fishing trips that I walk like 3, 5, or 7 kilometers while I'm fishing. So I'm not much for standing still. But if you, for any reason, are limited in your casting distance, which, let's say you fish, you can cast your line 12 to 15 meters. I recommend that you use the hot spots where you are standing still and a bit waiting for the sea trouts to pass you. And there are quite a few good places for that. I have a few places where you can stand and you get in contact with, not more than 4 to 5 meters actually. But that means that you maybe have to fish for 4 to 8 hours. And in good days, you can get several trouts. In bad days, maybe they just will pull your line or something like that, pull it there. This is an area on Bornholm actually. It's called Vide Odde, and this is actually one of the best places for beginners on Bornholm. You can easily go there by car, or if you don't want to pay for a car, you can go by foot. And there is a 20 minutes walk from the boat to this place to fish. And you will probably come down to this and to Nittvai down here, and you can actually start fishing over at this area. It's quite popular, or you can keep on and start fishing around the edge here. And there is further down to the left, there are also some good spots, and you can actually walk and fish all the way around here. And there's quite a few films from Bornholm where I fish here, and I've caught fish in more or less days without any wind. Bornholm is a very special place to go and fish. It's lovely with this crystal clear water. There are actually also possibilities to fish for pike and other things that have some put and take or some ponds or small dams where you can fish. This is a little special place up at Hittarp, north of Helsingborg. And why I show it is because there's quite a lot of information on this picture of where to fish. If you come up to Hittarpsrevet and try to fish it, you see this edge here, for example. You can go and fish over this edge here. You can fish down here in the bend. And there's quite often fish standing here or inside in this darker area here. And you can actually also walk out this way or out here on the right. That's the main or channel, Öresund channel actually. And Hittab is it's a nice place to fish, and a good hot spot actually to start to fish. There is a lot of people from Helsingborg that goes there, so it could be crowded, quite crowded in many times. But there are other very good areas or places to fish. Some of them I will actually show you here too. This is also from for Bornholm, Bronsade. And it's a lovely place to fish, and there are quite a few big seatrouts here, and there's a lot of different places to fish, and the environment to walk in and fish is it's fantastic in many ways. And don't be tricked that you see sand, because when you come out in the water, it's definitely not sand. The hair is hard bottom, a lot of stones, seaweed, deep holes. You have to have a wading stick so you can keep track of where you put your feet. Otherwise, there is especially here, an area where it suddenly becomes very deep. Suddenly. And these are on the east coast of Bornholm, small places where, when you look at them, they don't seem much out for the eye, but there are really big sea trouts enjoying their life here and swimming quite close. And these are areas where even though it's a storm on Bornholm, you will always find these nice small places where you can enjoy yourself. This is another place there. This is from Örnahusen, another very good hotspot to fish. And there are two areas here you can actually park. You can park down by this road here, or you can park over here. If you want some more directions, I can always give you that. But as you see here, there is a reef going out, and this stone reef is it's natural. And there's a lot of people that walks out and fish these areas here. When it comes to fly fishing, you will find a lot of spawned sea trout in this area. I avoid to fish there, but you will definitely find them just in knee-deep water, and they are probably caught or due to wind and different things that seems to make them gathering in this small area. I think I got like 8 or 10 spawned sea trouts on a shrimp fly. That's one of my records in that area. Quite a few of them are quite big, but there's nothing to keep. If you're looking for better condition on your sea trout, you should definitely walk out on this area here instead. And it's difficult to see, but you are able to stand here in quite a lot of seaweed and fish over this dark area here. And you can't see it, but there are some underwater reefs here that are quite shallow, and you will have a great fishing on these areas. And there are quite a few big sea trouts in this area. This is another famous place in Sweden. It's called Engelska bryggan. It's old stone reef where you during the 15th, 16th, or 17th centuries they put out a lot of stones and built a pier where they could bring stuff from sailing boats back and forth on to the shore of Ystad. And you are able to walk out on this one for 200-300 meters. To the left here, when you start seeing the outer side of the harbor, then that's probably the furthest out you can get. This side here, the eastern side of it, it's commonly where you will catch fish. This area in here I haven't caught that many here. It's mostly on this side. The best thing is to walk on the deeper side here and fish over the reef, because a lot of the fish go back and forth just on the edge here. So if you're standing on the same side as you are fishing, you would just scare a few of them away. This is Hammarsbacka. I lived there for 10 years in Nybrostrand, so this is an area that I know quite a bit about. And we have the last The last Sunday in March every year, we are having a day for usually our fly fishers that want to come to a little gathering. And this is Bornholm on the east coast, a very good place also to fish. And this is Böste with the bathtubs that I talked about before. And this is also Ystad, just to give you a little more. And this is Vikö, another very popular place. These areas here are quite good to fish. Around the edge here, down by the harbor, there are protected areas over on the right side here, so you have to keep track of. Saltsjöbadet, popular down by Barsebäcks by, where you can fish also. And this is a typical guide of how to fish in Barsebäcks hamn. And as you can see here, you can actually wade over here, and there's a reef here, sandy reef, and you can fish on both sides. There's quite a lot of fish you catch on these areas, especially on the sea. Dependable, you can stand here. This is just to give you the impression of how to fish in different kind of ways. And these are hot spots on Hammarsbacka, just to give you a clue of how to fish actually. That's about it. I will show you YouTube. See if we can get this to work. And this is actually when I fish from Böste, just to give you an impression of what kind of weather and how it looks in the area. And you can't see it on the film, but I'm actually reaching the edge of the bathtub here. In this case, I got in contact with quite a nice seatrout that for a different reason decided to release again. I recommend, if you are new on coastal fly fishing, that you use weight forward lines. And first of all, don't use shooting heads. I see a lot of people using shooting heads that for a different reason don't know exactly how to use them. So I recommend that you use, if you're not able to shoot more than 12 or 15 meters, then you should definitely stick to the weight forward lines. There are a lot of films on my YouTube, so if you are interested in having a go at them and look them through, you're more than welcome. And many of the films I give a little tips about it, and there are some in English also, to give you a bit of information about how to fish in different situations, in different places. And as you can see here from Böste, I'm walking along the edge of the stones, and quite a few of the sea trouts there are quite nice to catch, especially when they jump. And later on in this film, you will be able to see where I catch spawned seatrout, a bigger one, around 70 something, which I also releases, and that's the main reason why you shouldn't use a rod in a lower class than 7 actually. It takes quite a while to unhook the bigger ones that you're not interested in keeping. And you enjoy your fly fishing quite much more if you use a 7 rod in many ways. So thank you for today. This was the first live broadcast from Fly Fish for Fun. I hope you enjoyed it. If there for any reason are any questions, you're more than welcome to get back to me. Have a nice day.